Joining us now, Jim Herring, longtime activist in the Republican Party politics in the 7th District and Henrico. Jim, I think I was talking to him the other day. I remember him running for committee unit chairman of Henrico or something. I don't remember the exact city, but I remember backing him then, and I still have his sticker that he was handing out back in the day. Can't even remember when it was, Jim, but I have like all these stickers in a cigar box, and I was just going through it the other day, and there was Jim Herring for chairman sticker there. It's some kind of a mass meeting or something, as I remember, right?
It was a massive mass meeting, absolutely.
There was a lot of people there. There was like thousands of people.
700 people. There was like over 700 people there, and it was amazing. So that it was. It's always wonderful to see democracy play out, and that's exactly what happened at that. And it was just a great experience back then.
That was the biggest mass meeting that I've ever seen. 700 people there. But you guys were good. You had a pitch tent set up, and you had your stickers. You had a big caravan. It was kind of fun. It was a very competitive race. I don't even remember who beat you. Eddie, somebody or something. But
Eddie Whitlock, who did a fantastic job.
Nice job. Yeah, great guy.
It was great because we didn't run against each other. We ran for things, and that's sort of what we want people to walk away with. We want people who are new to the process to see that kind of thing. We don't want them to see attacking each other. We want them to see what candidates run for, and that's what I was excited about for this particular contest that we chose on Saturday. Is we had 6 incredible candidates that had done a great job espousing conservative principles throughout the 7th District, and that's what I was hoping would happen. And I got to tell you, John, you're lucky I'm still on the phone after the 2-minute tirade you had at the very beginning. I got to be honest with you. I was offended by what you said, and I was offended when you scared people away from the beginning. One of the things the committee and myself always want is we want everybody who is interested in being a delegate to come. We want them to participate. We want them to feel comfortable. And I felt like a lot of things that you and other people said scared people away. And I think that's part of the reason for that we had some people who had signed up originally who just didn't come. I think another part is a lot of the delegates do not qualify their people. I have talked to many people who thought they were simply signing a petition to support the Second Amendment, and the particular candidate they were signing a delegate sheet for, they just thought they were signing a petition. They didn't even know what they were doing. So I think the candidates need to make sure everybody gets that. But we had an absolutely amazing time on Saturday. It was amazing. And I want to just tell you that watching democracy in action is excellent. You had mentioned something about a primary versus a convention. Let me just make sure everybody understands the process of the convention choice was chosen in late 2019. It was pre-COVID. And once that decision is made, the rules say that that's how you have to do it. You can't go back and change it.
Good. So I'm for banning them. Look, Jim.
I know you are. You've made that very clear.
It's not your fault, Jim. Like I said in my opening narrative, you had to play the hand you were dealt, and you did the best job that you possibly could under 100-degree heat in a COVID situation where it was unassembled and people were sitting there 9 hours in their car. Somebody tweeted out or texted me and said, I've eaten up a half a tank of gas sitting here in my truck for 9 hours. People were falling over with heat stroke. Jim, this is not your fault. It's nobody's fault. It's the fault of conventions, and I'm for the only way we're going to ban these is through legislative act. Jim, how many people voted in the third round? What was the total vote in the third round, Jim?
Hey, John. First of all, you weren't there. We had a space available for you. You weren't there. We had a space for you.
I'm not going to sit there sit there for 10. I asked you guys. You know what, Jim? Jim, we can't make up stuff.
I'm trying to explain.
Go ahead, Jim.
John,
go ahead.
I'm sorry. I want to explain. The top three candidates. The top 3 candidates were Nick Freitas, John McGuire, Tina Ramirez. All of those candidates had air-conditioned spaces available. Tina and John McGuire had hotels 5 minutes away from the venue. 5 minutes away. They had tents outside the parking lot with air conditioning. They had food. And they had all of those things. Nick had I think there were 2 tents where Nick people could go and be in air conditioning as well. And actually, I think they had a DJ in there too, so there was entertainment as well. So the 3 biggest candidates, the 3 candidates with the highest number of delegates, they were all taking care of their people. The candidates take care of their delegates, and that's what they did. Now, whether people chose to go to those places or not was a decision that they could make. Now, and again, that's just the way it was. We did the very best we could. And as far as a convention versus a primary, I do want to say this. One of the reasons why so many people don't like a primary is in Virginia, we do not register by party. So anybody can vote.
Break. Now you're going to go back to that. Oh, give me a break.
Absolutely.
You know what? We're the minority. You can't win if you don't get people crossing over and get independents. I mean, that is like, well, let's just have a closed primary and that's it. Do you know that nationally the number of people that cross over and vote in the other party's primaries nationally for 30 years running is just over 1%. It's 1.2%. I mean, that is a red herring. Jim Herring, no pun intended. That is ridiculous.
John,
but
you know what? You're not talking.
How many people voted? How many people voted in the third round? Give me a number.
By party.
You can't give me.
Number is with
give me a number.
Registered by party.
Give me a break. That is such not. You know what? Oh, you got to register by party. Therefore, we're going to keep rigging conventions. Let me just ask you something. I'm going to ask you for the fifth time. How many people voted? Not waited. How many people voted in the third round?
I have no idea because I don't have the raw totals. I have the weighted totals.
You had 2,500 people who showed up,
we
right?
had 2,666.
2,600 out of 52. You had 50% turnout because it was 100 degrees. That's number one. The second thing is 50% of them went home. So the people who determined the outcome, you had about 1,300 people out of
John, that works
hundreds
the same
of thousands
way
in the 7th district.
That works. I tell you what, it was interesting. One of the best conventions that I ever went to was E.W. Jackson's. I know he's filling in for you on Friday. He's an absolutely fine man. The bishop is an excellent guy, and he's going to be with our delegation from Virginia to go cast a vote for Donald Trump for president. And I'm excited about that. He's an amazing man. And at that particular convention, it was great to watch democracy in action. We were there all day long. We were there casting vote after vote. I think it was seven ballots, if I'm not mistaken. And nobody had expected E.W. Jackson to win that nomination, but he did. And why? Because his people worked hard, because his people stayed, because he did what he needed to do to win that. And it was great to watch. I was a delegate there, but I wasn't one for him. But I'm telling you what, I love seeing him win because it was democracy in action. It was great. And he was chosen by Republicans to represent the Republican Party.
You think we had democracy?
There is no perfect method.
You think we had democracy?
And I'm not going to argue.
There's a perfect method. You know what the perfect method is, Jim? Jim, are you ever going to take a breath, or do you just want me to say talk for the next 5 minutes and I'll just get to the bottom of the hour? Go ahead.
No. I what you bring up a point, and I'd like to be able to counter that point and just move on to the next one.
Go ahead, Jim.
What happens is a lot of times you'll bring up several of them. And as far as having Joe Marcy, I really think you probably picked a very poor person to represent making the decision of whether or not people have conventions or not, and having the state. The state government choose how the political parties choose their own nominees.
Yes,
makes no sense to me either. And we can disagree on that, but that makes absolutely no sense.
Are you ever going to breathe, Jim?
I just stopped. I just made a point on that.
Jim, we need legislative action to ban these rigged conventions. You rigged the one in the 5th. You rigged the one in the 97th. You got professional convention rigateers like Bonnie and Clyde that go around hiring people in campaigns to sit on their unit chairs and make decisions. You knocked out Denver Riggleman. If there was a primary in the 5th district, Denver Riggleman would have gotten 70% of the vote. Instead, you got another candidate there that's now tied in the polls and the seat's at risk. Made no sense. You did the same thing in the 97th. So to sit there and say,